The morning had that polished shine only the rich could afford. Everything in the building shimmered like it had never known dust. That was because of people like me, people who got here before the sun, people who didn't wear watches because there was never time to be late. I was mopping the edge of the marble floor near the revolving door of Grayson, Benton & Co., the most powerful law firm in the country. They called it the bastion of the billionaires. You didn't get in unless you had a yacht or a name that echoed through courtrooms like thunder. Unless, of course, you had a mop and a navy blue jumpsuit with your name stitched in cursive above your heart like me. Mariama, that was my name. It was just past 6. The sun was rising with a sleepy yawn, but inside the world was already sharp. I heard the click, click, click of expensive heels, the cold hum of the elevators swallowing the early risers. And then I heard the sound that always made my shoulders tighten. His voice, smooth like oil, sharp like a blade, Declan Grayson. He was the youngest partner ever at the firm. 34, billionaire, and meaner than a spitting cobra in mating season. Rumor said he destroyed a rival firm once just because they dared file a suit against one of his clients. He didn't just win cases, he annihilated them. People feared him. Women fawned over him. But to me, he was just another man in a suit who couldn't see past his own reflection. "You missed a spot," he said, not kindly, not like a joke, just cold, like I'd committed treason. He was standing in his tailored charcoal gray Armani with a briefcase that probably cost more than my annual rent. He looked down at the floor and then at me like I was an insect that somehow ruined his precious morning. I didn't flinch, I never did. He bent a little, pointed to a tiny patch of streaked marble barely visible unless you squinted. "You're getting paid to clean, aren't you? Try doing it properly." I was about to nod like I always did, like we all did when spoken to by people who owned everything. But something inside me ticked. Maybe it was the 2 hours of sleep. Maybe it was the way he didn't even look me in the eye. Maybe it was the fact that last week I saw him spill coffee and blame a young intern who nearly lost her job. Or maybe I was just tired of people thinking they could talk to us any way they wanted. "I'm doing my job," I said, calm, respectful, but not submissive. Declan stopped mid-step like he wasn't used to being answered. He turned fully toward me now, eyes narrowing like he was studying an exotic pest that had learned English. "Excuse me," I said. "I'm doing my job. If you have a problem, you can file a complaint with facilities." I said, dipping the mop back into the bucket and wringing it out without looking at him. The silence felt heavy. Then came the laughter, short, cruel, the kind that made your skin crawl. "Do you even know what it means to file a complaint, sweetheart? Can you read legal English?" I looked up then. Not because I was angry, I looked up because I was sad. Sad for the kind of man who needed to belittle someone cleaning his office at sunrise just to feel powerful. "No, sir," I said. "I don't read legal English, but I do read people." His smirk faltered just for a second, then he leaned in. "Careful," he said, soft and slow. "There are 100 girls like you waiting to take your place. You may be cute, but cuteness doesn't save jobs." He walked away before I could answer, because that's what people like him did. They dropped their poison and strutted off. But that day, something changed. At 11:13 a.m., he returned to the office from court, cocky as ever. Everyone was already buzzing. The entire firm was vibrating with whispers. A client meeting had gone sideways, something about a document leak. Everyone avoided Declan's eyes, but not me. I was pushing my cleaning cart past his glass office when I saw him standing there, staring at his computer screen like it had slapped him. His skin had lost color. His mouth was slightly open. His perfectly gelled hair looked like he'd run his fingers through it 10 times in 10 minutes. He didn't see me, but I saw him. Later that afternoon, something strange happened. HR came down. They almost never did. Like descending gods, they only showed up when someone was getting fired or promoted. The receptionist whispered that someone had hacked into the firm's protected files. leaked confidential documents. And worse, those documents showed Declan had buried evidence in a pharmaceutical case, a case where children had died from tainted meds. He'd silenced a whistleblower, buried a memo, lied in court, all traceable to him. By 5, the media was outside. By 6, Declan Grayson's name was trending across every platform on Earth. By 7, they found out who sent the documents, and that's when everything turned upside down. He walked up to me in the underground parking lot. His tie was gone, his face was pale, but his ego still intact. Barely. You think this is funny? I didn't even answer, just looked at him with calm eyes. They're going to investigate me. Do you know what that means? Yes, I said. Justice? You'll never work again, he hissed. I'm not afraid of not working, I said. I've done it my whole life, but you. You're afraid of losing power. You're afraid of people finding out what you really are. He laughed again, but this time it cracked at the edges. You're just a cleaner, and you're just a man who thinks he's a god. Then I turned and walked away, leaving my mop behind like a weapon dropped at the end of war. But what he didn't know, what no one knew, was that I wasn't just a cleaner. Not anymore. Not after what happened to my brother, who died from the same medication Declan defended in court. Not after I spent 3 years working nights, cleaning up after monsters and memorizing their habits. Not after I got into an online legal course in secret. Not after I found the email chain he'd forgotten to delete. Not after I created an anonymous drop account and sent it to every journalist with integrity. I had nothing, but I had the truth, and that was enough. And that was just the beginning. The world watched the lion fall. It took just 72 hours for the great Declan Grayson to lose everything. His face, once glowing on Forbes magazine, now filled every news feed as the face of corporate greed and corruption. The man who used to walk like he owned the sky now walked with his head down, hiding behind sunglasses that couldn't protect him from the truth. They stripped his name from the firm's marble wall. Clients fled, partners resigned, prosecutors circled like hawks. But me, I was just standing in the shadows, finally breathing. People asked who leaked the documents. Anonymous, they said, brave, fearless. A whistle in the wind that cracked a billion-dollar empire wide open. But I didn't do it for fame. I didn't do it to be remembered. I did it so no other family would cry the way mine did. I did it so the little people, the forgotten, the invisible, would remember that we still have power. That we matter. That justice is not only for the rich and truth is not owned by men in suits. One morning weeks later, I got a letter, no return address, just my name, Mariama, written in delicate script. Inside was a note that read, "You changed my life. Because of you, my son's case will be heard again. Thank you for speaking when so many were silent." It was signed by the mother of a child who had died from that poisoned medicine. I held the letter in my trembling hands and cried for the first time in years, not out of pain but release. Out of knowing that someone heard me, that someone saw me. Sometimes I walk past that same building. Cleaners still mop the floors, lawyers still click in their high heels. The world spins, but something is different. People look each other in the eye now, they say thank you more. And every time someone nods at the janitor or holds the door open for the lady sweeping the floor, I smile, because it means someone remembers, someone learned. And Declan. Last I heard, he's living in a gated house somewhere in the countryside, away from cameras, away from courtrooms, away from power. Some say he's writing a book to clear his name. But what name is left when you've already carved it in shame? As for me, I'm not cleaning floors anymore. I'm studying full-time now, thanks to a scholarship that came from a foundation I never applied to. A quiet gift from someone who believed in redemption. Law school isn't easy, but I walk into that lecture hall every day like I belong, because I do. I carry my brother's memory in every word I read. I carry every cleaner, every cashier, every forgotten soul with me. I fight for them, for truth, For dignity, this world doesn't need more billionaires, it needs more courage, more people willing to speak when it's dangerous, more hearts that refuse to stay silent in the face of cruelty. Because sometimes the janitor isn't just a janitor, sometimes the cleaner is the storm. Sometimes the girl they tried to silence becomes the voice that changes the world, and that's how I won.